Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com, as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
This is Bill Moseley.
I'm Linnea.
This is Don Gibb.
I'm Felissa Rose.
This is Larry Sprinkle, and you're listening.
You're listening to Spooky.
It is so scary.
All-American
Or I'll come to your house and make you watch it.
Meet me at the waterfront after the social.
The All-American Spookshow.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
Have you checked the children?
I want to play a game. The box. You opened it. We came.
Here. This is the All-American Spookshow.
Yes, that's right. It's that wonderful time of year, my friends. It's the Spook Show Halloween Anniversary Spectacular. But this time around, it's an extra special. It's our 5th anniversary here of the All-American Spook Show. Guys, can you believe it?
No, it does not feel like 5 years.
No. Now, 5 years ago, we heard Willie's car door, or the interior dinging of his car and everything, because the way we had to record that, it was all. We've told that story a few times.
Yeah.
And the fact that he got a speeding ticket on the way to my house to record it, and then ended up recording it in his car. It was fun. It really is a miracle that out of that first episode, 184 more episodes and various YouTube series and everything that we've done in all the years since came out of that clusterfuck. It really is a small miracle, that's for sure. But unfortunately, Will could not be with us, but you're joined here with Josh and Donny.
Yo.
And the Professor Smoak.
What's up?
Of course, honestly, it's appropriate that Will's not here because over the last year or so, he's become more infrequent. So it does figure that on a big day, our anniversary, that he's not here. It's more fitting, but he wasn't feeling very well, so we wish him the best. Obviously, we want him to get better.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he'll be
certainly
back. He'll be back disagreeing with us sooner rather than later. But yeah, so we're here for what we do every year on our anniversary. This is the one time of the year that we have to kind of not only just reminisce about what we've done over the past calendar year, but also we have a chance to re-rate our movies. So if we gave something, 3 stars, for instance, we can go up or we can go down. This is the one chance you get. But after that, whatever your rating is, it's locked in forever. Unless
I do want to. Yeah, right. Like I do want to kind of point out that this is not, an anniversary with your significant other where you're rehashing old shit. Mm-hmm. That's not. This is a good time.
This is just our
meant
way
to be as such.
It's more of like a celebration of our birthday, right?
Of course.
It's like you want to do something fun and nice for your birthday. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a chance for us to say, you know what? That movie sucked. It's going to suck even more now. Or that movie was awesome, but I got to bring it down a little bit. Or you know what? I was drunk that day. It needs to be higher. Whatever, right? Whatever your reasons. Yeah. This is the one day you have to correct yourself. So, and this year we're going to be going all the way back. Like I said, this is episode 184. So we're going to be traveling all the way back in the time machine to episode 124, Cult Corner Memento. And then we're going to wrap it up here with our secondary thoughts on episode 178, which was, just back in September, our latest Cult Corner episode. This is Spinal Tap. So that's, and we'll talk about what all the movies were in between, obviously, but that's kind of our time period that we're going to be talking about today. Also, we're going to have a chance to relitigate Crapsterpiece. Although I got a feeling a lot of that's not going to be relitigated too much.
Yeah.
But what we do over on Crapsterpiece Theater for our Patreon, patreon.com/AASpookshow, is every month we put up a poll, 4 movies. You, the listeners, you, the viewers of YouTube and everything, you pick what we are going to watch the next month. And in that month, we give it a rating. Now, we don't do a star rating for that. We give it our quote unquote patented crapster piece rating system there is we recognize that everything on there is shit. But what various levels of shit is it? So we've got floaters, which are, the best, sinkers, which are kind of mid, and then you've got diarrhea, which, that's self-explanatory. It's the shits. Nobody wants that. So that's the worst of the worst. That's our rating system. Floater, sinker, diarrhea. So we're going to have a chance to blend those in, smear some shit on the walls, and see if it stinks any more or less this year. So we'll get into that. So I guess we'll start right there with episode 124, Cult Corner Memento. I'll just run through the ratings, and you guys say we don't need to talk about these movies in depth because if you really want to hear that, just go find those episodes. But I'll say what everybody rated it, and then raise your hand or yell out, so to speak, if you want to re-rate it. Donnie, you gave it 4 stars. Smoak, you gave it 3 3/4 stars, and I gave it 4 stars. And with Will's 4 3/4 stars, that made it our consensus right now sits at 4.1 stars. So is anybody got anything for Memento there?
No, I'm good with it.
I'll stick. I'm sticking.
Yeah, I abstain. So there we go. I think, and also I will say that I did speak to Will briefly, even though he's not here because he's not feeling good. He did say that he didn't really feel like he needed to re-rate anything. So what you hear from him, that's pretty much the final word for now. We move on to episode 125, a true classic, and we rated it as such. The Fly from 1986. Donnie, you gave it 4 1/4. Will gave it 4 1/2. Smoak, you and I gave it 4 stars. So that's a consensus score of 4.1 stars. So anybody got a second word for The Fly?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I was probably a little. I don't know. I wasn't drunk that day, obviously, but I'm gonna want to tick it up a little bit to 4 1/2 from 4 1/4. I'm gonna re-rate it at 4 1/2. Want to make sure I have it right on my scale.
Okay, and I gave it 4. I'm gonna stick there. Smoak 4.
Yeah. I think I'll stick with it.
So there you go. That's gonna raise it to actually 4 1/4 on the consensus for The Fly. So it bumps it up a little bit there. So you changed the curve a little, Donnie.
That's what we do.
Then we move on to this was Smoak, you and I. This was one of our favorites from that section of the year last year. Episode 127, The Witch, or The Vavitch,
oh, yeah.
Whichever way, for 2015. Donnie, you gave it 3 3/4 stars. Will gave it 3 stars. He didn't like it quite as much. Smoak, you gave it 4 3/4 stars, which is drastically different from Will, right? And I gave it 4 1/4 stars. So right now it sits with a consensus of 3.9 stars. So anybody got anything for The Witch?
No, I'm good.
I'll add this, that it doesn't necessarily have to do with The Witch, although it does have to do with the director, Robert Eggers. I'll be looking forward to seeing his version of Nosferatu because I think it completed filming not too long ago. So, I mean, it's still got, until next year in 2024 until it gets released, but I'll be looking forward to that.
That's one of those movies for me, I'll believe it when I see it because it's been rumored for so long that, I won't believe that I'm actually watching it until I'm sitting in the theater watching it.
That's true. At least this time, though, I mean, according to whoever it was that reported on it, the filming actually is done. So that's cool. Before it didn't even get to that process, unfortunately. But yeah, I remember hearing about it before Lighthouse, I think, right?
Yeah,
somewhere in there. But
it seems like it's the better part of the last 4 to 6 years at least. They've been talking about that. So yeah,
it was after Lighthouse, but still, at any rate, it was supposed to have been done some years back, and they got passed over for something else. Maybe it was the Northman or maybe it was the Lighthouse. I just can't remember where it fell in his schedule there. But apparently this time it really is going to come out. But yeah, like you said, we'll see when it happens.
We'll see. All right, now we move into the month of October. Now this episode 129, we actually did with some of the guys from
Cinema 9.
Cinema 9. Yeah, I was going to say Hero Movie, but that was a couple episodes here in just a second. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight from 1995. Donnie, you gave it 3 1/4. Will gave it 3 1/2, and Smoak, you and I both gave it 3 1/4. So that's a consensus of 3.3 stars out of 5. So anybody got any second word on Demon Knight?
I'll stick him for mine, I think.
Yeah, I'm staying.
Yeah, and we all said about the same there. I mean, literally, Will was the only one, and he only gave it 1/4 of a star higher. So we were pretty much all on the same page on that one. And I feel like when we had, because it was Travis Roy from the Cinema 9 podcast, I want to say he said about the same roughly. I forgot to mark his down, but Yeah, great flick. Go check it out. Then, boy, we went from something that was a lot of fun in Demon Knight to something that wasn't quite as fun. This should be interesting. Episode 130, Halloween Ends, from 2022. That was a brand new release. We watched it literally we talked about it a day or two after we had watched it there in the theaters. Donnie, you gave it 1.25 stars.
Yeah.
Will gave it 2.25 stars. Smoak, you agreed with Donnie at 1.25, and I was closer to Will, and I said 2 stars. So consensus score right now is 1.6 out of 10 stars. So I know somebody's got something to say about Halloween Ends, right?
I mean, go ahead, Smoke.
You
probably have something more positive to say.
I could probably, it's not necessarily positive.
Yeah.
I could probably actually go down to 1/4 star for me, but I mean, I guess I want to bash it even more, but I'll stick to it. I mean, I guess I'll stick.
There was
But that's the best I can say. Just some mumbling words about guessing. I'll stick with what I got.
There was a recent episode of, I can't remember whether it was Hero Movie Podcast or the other podcast that those guys do. They do 30 questions of a recent Marvel show or a Star Wars show. So they have a couple different podcasts. I don't remember which. I want to say it was the 30 questions for Ahsoka series that they were doing. They took a brief moment to talk about Halloween. I don't even remember how it came up, but they were talking about Halloween Ends, and they were talking about how criminally underrated and not so many words that movie was.
All right. So
and I messaged Adam Portress, who's the host of Hero Movie. I said, I think, because it was specifically him and Bruce, the other, one of the other guys on the show. It was specifically them that were talking, glowingly about Halloween Ends. And I said, you guys might need to come on and defend your position. So we might have to have some kind of impromptu debate on Halloween Ends. That's
like a Spook Show rewind.
Yeah, or just let's just do a friendly Hero Movie pod. You know what? For election season, I think this would be perfect. Hero Movie Podcast versus All-American Spookshow Podcast debate over Halloween Ends. I think it would be.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd
I don't
be
know
hilarious.
if we can get it to happen, but I think it would be.
You know what? I'll say this about Halloween Ends. You have those sequels that don't really, they act as if, this specific scenario never happened.
Yeah.
I think we'll see other, Halloween, like another Halloween movie come out that will completely disregard fucking Halloween Ends.
Maybe.
And
I did have a brief agreement with Adam in the sense that, I truly believe Halloween Ends is their version of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. But they fucked up and they had to put Michael Myers. They had to mix Michael in with it, and I think that was the sin. I think that's the thing that people have against it. If it was more,
the only thing for me is that Halloween 3 is my favorite of the series outside of the first Halloween movie.
and one of the reasons why is because it didn't have anything to do with Michael, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I like the fact that it went on its own kind of thing. But like you said, it could have been called something other than Halloween 3. I guess it could have been called Season of the Witch, right? And then gone on from there.
Exactly. But, there'll come a time. Maybe we can talk to Adam and see if they're willing to do a little
that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. If not, so be it. We'll leave it where it is. So I think for now, we'll just leave it where it's at. I mean, I gave it 2 stars. I think Will and I both were a little more courteous to it than you guys, but I think I'm going to leave it there for now. So 1.6 stars from the Spook Show gang on Halloween Ends. But we move on to how appropriate the episode that we did with the Hero Movie Podcast, episode 131, Dr. Giggles. Now, that one was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of people all at once. There was literally 7 of us, right?
Yeah, it was a lot.
I think we did a pretty good job not stepping on each other too bad, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. It was great to do it with those guys, but we came out with, I think all of us pretty much said the exact same thing about it. Donnie, you and I gave it 2.25 stars. Smoak, you gave it 2.5 stars, and then Will gave it 2 stars for a current consensus of 2.25 stars. So is that about where everybody still stands on it?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's really not much reason to go up or down on that one, so I think it is what it is. And I'm pretty sure the Hero Movie guys, they've got their own patented Robin rating scale over there. I think they had pretty much agreed that their our consensus laid with their consensus as far as the Robin rating thing was concerned. So we'll leave it there. But onward and upward after that. I'm sorry.
Probably a moment of the most people we've ever had on the podcast at one time, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Then we had I believe right after that was when we had our 4th anniversary show. So obviously there's nothing to talk about there. So go check that one out where we had talked about the previous years and re-rated all those. But then we moved on past that and we kind of started our quote unquote new year after that with episode 133, Dawn of the Dead from 1978, a bona fide horror classic. Donnie, you gave it 4 3/4 stars. Will gave it 4.5 stars. And then Smoak, you and I gave it 5 stars. Perfect score. For a current consensus of 4.8 out of 5 stars. So it didn't get much better than that. So anybody got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I would actually go ahead.
10 stars. No.
Yeah, I don't think that's an option. You can't go up to 10. Can't go over 5.
Oh, okay.
But if there was anything that would deserve it, yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Donnie.
I would probably just change my rating to 5. Just to put it more on, scale of, favorites and, to also, honor its influence, to give it a more proper rating of its impact. Yeah. That's what I would do. I would, bump it up to 5.
No argument here. So that's going to bring it up to a consensus of 4.88 stars out of. So yeah, that's pretty rare air. You're getting into Jaws land right there, of like one of our highest rated of all time for sure. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about episode 126. That was kind of in there because it was a Spook Show spotlight. Not that there's anything to re-rate, but I just feel that I should mention it. We had author of the Canon Film Guide, Austin Trunick, on as a guest for that one, and we talked about his release of the Canon Film Guide Volume 2 and everything. So we encourage you to go back in the archives and listen to episode 126 for the interview that we had with Austin there. He's always cool with coming on. We've had him on a couple times as a guest, but he always comes on for Canon episodes, other than the Emmanuel 4 episode. That he didn't want to have anything to do with that.
He's a good dude, man.
Yeah,
that one was not canon for canon, right? Is that the right terminology? It's not canon.
It's not. It was canon adjacent. It was not produced by Golden Globus Canon. So yeah, that's it was just distributed by them. So that was kind of the caveat. But he had some stuff he had to do, and he didn't have as much information on it, so he couldn't come on there. But he always does his Canon Chronicles bit for every time we have a Cannon Fodder episode. So we wanted to give him a shout out there. So go track down episode 126 and hear him talk about his volume 2 of his book series. And I do believe he's still working on volume 3 of those books. So we'll have him on sooner rather than later to talk about that again. Episode 134 was our Cannon Fodder. Was our next Cannon Fodder episode, I should say. And that was Masters of the Universe. Yeah, that was our 7th quote-unquote official episode of Cannon Fodder. Donnie, you gave that one. Now, over there now, it's kind of a skewed rating system. We do cannonballs over there. So it's still 0 to 5, but like you kind of have to grade on a different scale. We're not necessarily comparing these to horror movies. We only compare the Cannon movies to other Cannon movies, so there's a slightly different scale there. Donnie, you gave it 3.5 cannonballs. Will gave it 4. Smoak, you also gave it 3.5, and I gave it 4. Austin also gave it 3.5 cannonballs. So it was a consensus total score of 3.7 cannonballs out of 5. So anybody got anything different for old Masters of the Universe?
I'm good over here for mine.
Yeah, I think I had given it 3.5.
Yeah,
3.5 cannonballs.
3.5 cannonballs. Yep.
I want to bump it up to 4, just to give it its proper weight on the Canon scale, as well as my own importance. I don't want to say probably not my own importance, but on my own list, scale list.
How it felt to you on your good journey through life.
Gwildor.
Gwildor eating chicken.
I used to work with a lady who looked like Gwildor.
All right. I think we might have talked about that on that episode. I think it might have come up.
I think it did.
Well, anyways, yeah, that's going to bump it up a little bit. So we'll go with that. The next episode that we did was episode 134, Black Friday. That's how we decided to celebrate Thanksgiving last year. Let's see. Donnie, you gave it, good Lord, only 1 3/4 stars. That's out of 5. Will gave it 2 1/4. And also Smoak, you and I did as well, 2 1/4 stars. So that's a total consensus of 2.1 stars out of 5.
So I don't want to change my rating, but I do remember that this was my pick. And I was, because I was like, I had high hopes because it was Bruce Campbell, I don't know. And plus it was, I had seen the trailer. I was like, oh, this looks cool. Michael Jai White, it should be kind of a fun flick.
And Bruce Campbell is Bruce Campbell in that movie. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. It's just everything else is not,
Yeah.
Yeah. That one, I'm going to leave it alone, but yeah, it is what it is.
I'm not, I'm not budging.
Yeah.
I guess I'm there, even though I know I'll never see this movie again, but I'll never, seek it out to watch again. But I guess I'll leave it at whatever it was. I gave it 1. What did I give it?
No,
2
you and I both. You, Will, and I gave it 2 1/4.
That's probably more than it deserves, but I guess I'll leave it.
All right, Smoak, calm down. Calm down. I can see you getting riled up. There's plenty to get riled up over. Black Friday ain't it.
The only reason I'm leaving it, I'll put it this way: the only reason I'm sticking with it is because of Bruce Campbell. If it wasn't for Bruce Campbell, that would be a half. I know, probably be a 1/4 star.
I don't know if I'd go that low, but yeah, absolutely. Bruce Campbell is the reason for the season there. Like he's the reason it gets even the amount of love that I gave it for sure. You take him out, no.
Yeah.
But anyways, we keep the season rolling there. We actually went ahead and kind of jumped into Christmas time early the following week with our latest Cult Corner episode, 136, Die Hard, which I think there's, we talked about that, the debate there of whether this is a Christmas movie or not, and we all landed on it is. So, Donnie, you gave it 5 stars. So did Smoak and I. Will was the only one that threw the curve off a little bit. He only gave it 4 stars. But once again, with the Cult Corner movies, we grade on a slightly different scale, so I guess compared to some other ones, he just didn't see it quite as well as we did. But regardless, 4 3/4 stars for old Die Hard. So there's nowhere to go but down, and no one's going to do that, right? So
no.
We'll just leave that right there. But man, talk about from the highest of highs to some of the lowest, or at least the mids of mids. Episode 137, we kept the Christmas time cheer rolling with Blood Beat from 1983. All 3 of us gave it. No, I'm sorry. Donnie, you and I with Will gave it 2 stars. Smoak, you gave it 2.5 stars. So obviously, these type of movies you're probably a little bit more kind to, just because of what it is, right? But the consensus right now sits at 2.1 stars. So, anyone else want to go up or down there?
So I'm not going to go up or down, and I know we're not really delving into this, but this was the if you did catch our Spook Show Awards episode, we did. This was the movie where we got the idea for the Chucky Award.
Yeah,
it's the
I don't know.
The term is eluding me. Inspiration for the
that's a good one.
Chucky Award,
and I don't know why it came out of that. Right? Maybe it's just because they kept talking about that damn dog Chucky so much, and then it just stuck in our heads. I don't know, but yeah, there's anything to take from Blood Beat, it's how weird that movie is, and Chucky. That's your 2 takeaways. What a odd.
Yeah. What was my? I forgot what my rating was. 2 and what?
You gave it 2.5.
2.5. I'm going to bump it up to 2 3/4.
Oh, giving us some extra love, eh?
Yeah, I like these. I like these regional ones. So I think I just kind of downplayed it a little bit more than. I'll bump it up to 2 and 3. 2 and what? 3/4?
Yeah,
2.5, right?
It was 2.5. Yeah, so 2 3/4. So that takes it from a 2.13 to a 2.19. So I guess technically you made it 2.2 stars just doing that. But yeah, I mean, those are fun kind of movies, but that movie is weird as shit. That's really all I can say about Blood Beat.
There's something in it for me for that too. Like, who the hell? I mean, I don't remember. We looked into it. I don't remember now who wrote it. I guess same guy that directed it. But just the disparate things going on in that movie. A samurai, just all that shit added into the mix. I'm like, I got to bump it up at least a little quarter of a star just for that.
Yeah. Episode 138 was our latest Spook Show Spotlight, and on that one we had a deep discussion about Christmas slasher films, so you want to, if those float your boat, especially with the holiday season approaching, let's go check that one out. Episode 139, the Advent Calendar. Donnie, you gave it 1.5 stars. Will gave it 2.5 stars. I gave it 2 1/4. And Smoak, I believe to this day you still have yet to watch this movie, right? You never got around to it.
I never did get around to it.
So maybe you've been spared a little bit. I don't know, but maybe at some point you can watch it and give your rating. At one point in the future. But regardless, it sits at just over 2 stars consensus for now. So Donnie, you got anything?
I'll spare you. I'll spare you, Smoak. This movie sucks.
Well, I mean, that's pretty obvious. You gave it 1.5 stars, so you weren't.
Yeah.
What year was that movie? I forgot.
It was 2021.
Yeah, and I believe it's still, or at least it was at the time, but I'm pretty sure it still is like a Shudder exclusive type flick. So varying degrees of how well those are going to do when they come out, right?
Mm.
True.
Episode 140 was our latest cannon fodder. Oh man, and what another doozy we pulled out of our ass on that one. Pirates from 1986. Donnie, you did not watch that yet, right? No, you didn't. Yeah, you still haven't seen that yet.
No.
All of the rest of us, including Austin Trunick, gave it 1 cannonball. So easy math, consensus 1 cannonball. That's out of 5. So,
and that's a sliding cannon scale, mind you.
Yeah, that's like being generous because it's canon. Believe it or not, it was not our worst cannon fodder movie of the year, but it's pretty fucking low, right? So, and we'll get into our worst here in a little bit, but yikes. I got nothing more to add to that. I mean, I think we shit on it pretty proper that day. So,
yeah. It's so disappointing that it could have been at least, I'm not going to say it could have been so much more than what it was, but it certainly could have been better than what it was. You got a pirate movie, and that's the best you can come up with, and your canon. All right.
Yeah. That's probably its limitations, was the fact that it was canon doing it for a pack of Jolly Ranchers and $1 million, so.
True, but they could have put some kind of they could have canonized it.
Yeah.
I like coming up with these words and doesn't mean anything of that nature, but they could have canonized it and it would have at least been watchable more so than trying to make it more of a serious pirate movie. Maybe I don't know. That's probably more than needs to be said about pirates. But.
Yeah, there you go. We'll leave it there for now. One cannonball for old pirates. Then we move on to episode 141, Shaun of the Dead from 2004. Donnie, you gave it 3 3/4 stars. Will gave it the highest marks at 4 3/4 stars. It also happens to be the one that he picked, right? Smoak, you and I both gave it 4 stars. So for right now, it sits at a consensus of 4.1 out of 5 stars. So pretty high marks. So anybody have a second thought on that one?
I'm good. Great movie, but I think, I'll stick by the.
Also, that it did make, pretty much all of the horrors made, the kill reel. But it, I would say that's one of the better kills of the year. So if you want to check out our full kill reel for all of our horror movies, go on YouTube and check that out there.
Yeah. You can get to that by going to aaspookshow.com. Again, that's aaspookshow.com. We move on to our next Cult Corner selection. That was episode 142, Goodfellas. I'm not going to mince any words here. 5. It's perfect. We all gave it 5 stars. None of us are going down, so we'll just leave that there. Obviously, we highly recommend you go check out Goodfellas. And that's episode 142. God, man.
Is that the first one that we all gave 5? First movie on the entire podcast that we all gave 5 stars to?
Well, they're technically no, because Jaws. But Donnie still hasn't given his 2 cents on Jaws. No, I'm sorry. That was 4.3, or I'm sorry, 4.75 stars from all 3 of us. So that was 4 3/4. So no, I don't think so. I always had this mindset that Jaws was 5 stars from all of us. No, but it was 4 3/4 from all of us. So it might have been the first ever one that I'm kind of quickly glancing down through the numbers here. Not even any of them on Cult Corner were quite that high. And we've had some really high ones like the Big Lebowski and stuff, but so that might have been the only, up to that point. So yeah, good call, Smoak. Anyways, boy, we talk about going from the mountaintop to the fucking valley. Episode 143, Hellraiser Bloodline. There's some extra disdain in my voice because I picked that movie.
Well, I think that quote-unquote Pinhead, I mean, not the real Pinhead. Well, maybe it was a real Pinhead, but whoever Pinhead was disagrees with you wholeheartedly, apparently.
I remember that. Yeah, I was just like, how dare you?
Smoak, I'm starting to think that maybe you were Pinhead. You sent us that email. Fuck you guys. I love Bloodline. We all four gave it 1 star. And that's on our, horror scale, right? That's not like some weird curve scale or anything. That's on our scale. 1 star out of 5. Anybody want to give it any more shit or love?
No, I want to move on. Next.
You only want to do that because it's only up from there. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we won't spend any more breath on it. Episode 144 was our 2022 year in review. That's where we look back on not the stuff necessarily that we had done for the show, but it's the year that was horror in 2022. So if you want to hear our take on that, what were some of our favorites? What were the ones we didn't like? Go check that one out. Episode 145, this is why Donny wanted to move on. It was his choice, and it was Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Donny, you gave it 4.5 stars. That was the highest of all four of the four of us. Smoak, you and Will gave it 4 stars, and I was the turd in the punch bowl on that one. I only gave 2 3/4 stars.
So I still love this movie. It's still one of my favorite movies, but I still want to, give proper credence to, the weight and the impact of other movies. I initially, in my initial ratings before we recorded this show, I had Tucker and Dale versus Evil ahead of The Fly. And it's just, realistically, it's not really in my it's not as accurate as I would like it to be. So I'd like to bump that down to 4.25. So that way, I've just re-rated The Fly to 4.5, and I can sleep peacefully tonight.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. I'm sorry, Smoak, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm going to re-rate it too, but you go ahead with what you.
Well,
what
all I was going to say is that it's a hell of a good time, and I'm not shitting on it by giving it 2 3/4. That's just, and I stick to what I said then, what I say now. That's just kind of where it sits on my scale. I love that movie. It's a hilarious movie. I just don't think it's 4 worthy for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not quite that high. So I just got to bring it down and just compare it to the other things that I have there. I'm going to stick with the 2 3/4. But
yeah, this one I'm going to re-rate for the same reason that Donnie did, and also what you mentioned as well. It's just this on my scale too. Like, I have The Fly at 4, I believe it was. This movie is not equal to The Fly for me. Also, beyond that, even just talking about horror comedy, I have Shaun of the Dead at 4. I believe it was 4,
yeah, it was
thereabouts.
It was.
This one I have at 4, so it's not on that scale either for me. It's not as good as that. So I'm going to bump it down a little bit. And again, like Donnie was saying, doesn't mean that it's any worse off as a movie. I still stand by it being a very fun horror comedy with some great writing and great gags and all that stuff. I'm going to go with. I'll bump it down to 3 1/4. Well, no, I'll just bump it down to 3. Make it even, round it out at 3, because I think that'll place it in a much better spot for me in relation to Shaun of the Dead and the Fly and all other movies.
And that's a good point too. I hadn't even thought.
Yeah,
about
it's a fair rating.
That comparison to Shaun of the Dead either. Right, you're right. Like,
it's a good point.
That is one that I enjoyed a lot more than this as far as horror comedies are concerned. So
I think it's just better, And
yeah, and it's a great movie.
I'm of the other variety. I enjoyed this much more than Shaun of the Dead.
And I could see that.
Yeah,
I can see it either way. That just depends on. That's now you're getting into the specifics.
Splitting hairs.
Yeah, the subjectiveness of it all. That's the kind of comedy that you prefer. That's why I think doing, like, say, a straight comedy podcast or something would be harder than a horror podcast to me, because comedy is such a
against other
comedy's a fickle bitch. Like, what I find funny, you don't, vice versa, right? So that's a tougher call to make. But anyways, yeah.
Even rating your own comedy movies would be hard to do. You know what I mean? Trying to remember what you rated Animal House maybe versus what you rated whatever other, this, that, the Breakfast Club or whatever, trying to keep that stuff straight.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
no.
harder.
This is hard enough. I don't want to make it any more difficult. Fuck that. So anyways, that's going to bring it down a little bit to exactly 3.5 stars. So still really good, above average for the Spook Show rating scale, but just brings it down just a little bit. So I think it's appropriate there. Episode 146 was our latest cannon fodder. And this is kind of falls into that Emmanuel 4 lane of it's kind of a Cannon Films flick because it wasn't technically produced by Cannon Films, but it was distributed by Cannon Films, and that's Mannequin from 1987. Donnie, you gave it 2.5 cannonballs. Will gave it 3. Smoak, you gave it 2 3/4 cannonballs. I gave it 3 cannonballs, and then Austin Trunick gave it 2.5 cannonballs. So that's a consensus of 2 3/4 cannonballs. So anybody got a word on that?
I think I'm good with mine.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good with mine too.
Yeah, I think on the Cannon scale, that's about right. It's fun, but and I think I even said it in that episode. It has more of a soft spot for me because it's one that I used to watch. It came on HBO or some shit all the time back in the day, so it was one that kind of got in rotation for whatever reason that I remember watching back in the late '80s a lot. So that's why it kind of held that spot for me. But we move on to which it was another Cannon movie that actually kind of just happened that way because it was this is how we celebrated Valentine's Day on episode 147, X-Ray, aka Hospital Massacre. We always have to throw in both titles because this is truly one of those movies that you may or may not know from either one of those titles, right?
Yeah, it definitely got even distribution on both titles. Unlike some of the horror movies we'll do that'll have like spotty distribution under this weird title, over here, but like mainly known by something else. But yeah, this one's kind of equally known as both those titles.
So this one's going to be a little tricky because we actually gave it our normal horror rating, 0 through 5 stars, but we also gave it, because it was a Cannon movie, our Cannonball rating. So Donnie, with that being said, you gave it 2.5 stars, but only 2 1/4 cannonballs. Smoak, you gave it 2.5 stars as well, and 2 3/4 cannonballs. I rated it 2 stars on the quote unquote horror scale, but I gave it 2.5 cannonballs, and Austin Trunick gave it 2.5 cannonballs. So it ended up being a consensus score of 2.3 stars on our normal scale, and then 2.37 cannonballs on the Cannon scale. So pretty much the exact same rating in the end for both. So did anybody want to go up or down on that one as far as the star scale and the Cannonball ratings?
I'm going to sit firm.
Yeah, I'm going to sit on it. I'm going to say, yeah, that kind of like that almost equal footing in both the regular horror and the Cannon scale is kind of fitting for the movie because it's, first of all, it doesn't seem like a Cannon production anyways, right?
No.
And so I could see where that takes itself as sort of a somewhat serious horror movie for the time or whatever. So I can see it being both, as opposed to some of the other movies where they'll have a much higher Cannonball rating than a normal rating if we were rating it that way.
And a lot of that might have to do with the fact that it was very early Cannon, Golden Globus Cannon, because this was 1981. So, so they haven't found the Cannon way, so to speak, quite yet, at this point. So that might have a lot to do with why it felt a little different.
True. Yeah. Anybody watching this movie today thinking it's going to be something along the lines of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which was also a Cannon film, but much more Cannon oriented or whatever, you'd be disappointed if you're looking for that type of thing from this movie.
So we move on to episode 148. It was our next Cult Corner selection, Django from 1966. On that one, Donnie, you gave it 3 1/4 stars. Will wasn't there for that one, so we still don't have his rating. But Smoak, you gave it 3.5, and I gave it 3. So that's a total consensus so far of 3 1/4 stars for old Django. So anybody up or down on that one?
I don't know about up or down, but I tell you, that was a really entertaining movie.
It was.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm ready to, I think I might. That reminds me too. I need to maybe pull out another spaghetti western at some point. Yeah, that was. I've always enjoyed that one and spaghetti westerns in general, but I think that's the only one we've ever done on the show, I believe.
Oh yeah. Other than Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter, I think it's right. I think it's the only other time we had anything to do with a western. So
yeah, that's true.
I guess you could.
And that's almost night and day between even those two movies.
You might could kind of count Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. That had a kind of a Western feel to it,
you can't.
Wise, but you can't. Yeah, I'm just saying if there's anything else that would.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on Smoak to bring out Billy the Kid versus Dracula,
which I think was like a double feature with Jesse James meets Frankenstein's daughter. Oh God. One of the two movies that they filmed at the same time on the same location in 2 weeks. So that can tell you what kind of quality you're dealing with here. Anyways, God, this was way down from the heights of Cult Corner to the lows of fucking everything. Episode 149, Hellraiser Inferno from the year 2000. Ugh. I get shivers. Somebody just walked on my grave. Donnie,
you think it can't get the prior Hellraiser movie? Just wait till this.
Well, actually, rating-wise, we were more favorable to Inferno than we were Bloodline. Donnie, you and Smoak both gave it 1 1/4 star. Will still hasn't gave his 2 cents on that one, which I doubt he ever will. And I gave it 1.5 stars, so I was a little bit more favorable than you guys. And I think that was if I recall, it was because Bloodline sucked so hard. I was like, well, at least there's a fucking cohesive story going on here somewhat in Inferno. So I enjoyed it a little bit more, but... You know,
not to beat a dead horse here, but I gave this the exact same rating I gave Halloween Ends.
That should tell you all you need to know.
Yeah,
I'm
what?
Sticking. I don't fucking know, but it tells you something. You know what? I'm going to come down with you guys to 1 1/4. I think I was being a little bit more kind just because Bloodline sucked the life out of me. So I was like, God, well, it's better than that, but it ain't much better. It really ain't. It's only slightly better. So that means it's a consensus right now of 1 1/4 stars for Hellraiser Inferno. So that's already enough said about that because we were only going up from there. Episode 150, a big one. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. Donnie, you gave it 4.5 stars. Will gave it 4 stars. Smoak, you and I gave it 5 stars. Putting it in its proper historic perspectives. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, I also would like to... well, I didn't say also, but kind of along the same line as Dawn of the Dead that I did from 78. Want to put this in its proper place as far as historical impact, as far as the influence. So I'm going to rate it up from 4.5 to 5.
Well, you'll get no arguments here. I was already there, buddy. That gives it now a consensus rating of 4 3/4 stars. So there's no question how huge the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is, the original, to just horror as a genre and just maybe even film. Period. Right? It holds a pretty high place in just all movies. Toby Hooper's masterpiece, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And this is one of those movies where and I'm sure Donnie had seen this before that episode, right? Maybe multiple times before we did that episode, but it's one of those that definitely, I guess, the quality of the filmmaking of it and everything, it grows on you. Like the first time I saw this movie, if you were to tell me to rate that movie the first time I saw it, I would have rated it much lower.
Yeah.
Because I saw it a little bit later, and not late life, but I mean, I saw it when it was shit ton of hype was up for it. And, you get people talking about how gory this movie is. This movie's graphic, it's disturbing, it's good, it's extreme and all this. And then, but that's the effect of the movie on these people that saw it maybe once. And then they report what they saw, and it gets out there and it's not extreme at all. I mean, but it's just the quality of the filmmaking. It makes you imagine more than what's going on in the movie. The way that it was shot with the chainsaw effect, sawing the guy up on the table, but you're not really seeing it.
Yeah.
So I think this speaks volumes about the quality of this movie, that it grows on you every time you view it, to the point where after a few viewings, you're probably, if you're a horror fan, you probably are going to be rating it a 5, whereas the first time you would have maybe rated it much lower.
That's a really good point.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And we kept the good times rolling though. Right after that, episode 151, Evil Dead 2 from 1987. Donnie, you gave that one. You and Smoak both gave that one a perfect 5 stars. Will gave it 4.5, and I gave it 4 3/4 stars. So for a total consensus rating of 4.8. As much as I love that movie, I'm gonna stay at 4 3/4. It really is the perfect addition and also kind of a remake or continuation of the original Evil Dead movie. You know, it really is. But you know that, and it also probably is one of the kings of horror comedy in a way, right? Because like I know it's not full on comedy; it's definitely more horror, right? But there's enough comedy elements there to kind of call it a horror comedy, I think. So, I mean, it's so well done. What can you say about that fucking classic gem? No doubt. So, I'm not going to begrudge anybody for a 5, but I'm going to keep it at 4.75. You know, 4 3/4. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, I'm going to just slightly. I mean, there's nowhere to go but down for me since I gave it a 5. But I'm not going down too far. It's just that I don't place it at the same level as I placed Dawn of the Dead, which I gave a 5 too, as well as I forget now what some of the other 5-star horror movies were.
Texas Chainsaw.
But Texas Chainsaw, yeah, definitely don't put it quite up there with those two. So I think I'm going to bump it down to 4 3/4 from.
I would actually echo that for the exact same reasons.
Yeah. Hey, hard to
argue.
And that's
why I love doing these year-end things and re-rating, because you kind of get to see context that you didn't see.
Of course. Yeah. And you also get to like really think about your own scale. And even though like we just talked about, you know, horror comedies being, you know, subjective and different, you know, we each have our own scales. So yeah, you do get that, the other side of the coin.
So that's going to bring it down a little bit with both you guys bringing it down a 1/4 star to 4.69 out of 5 stars. Still great. Still one of the best horror movies, you know, of the decade, of a generation, however you want to phrase it, but not quite perfection, you know, and I don't think too many people would argue that. Right after that, we went back to Cannon Fodder, and man, we pulled one out of our ass on this one. Cyborg from 1989. And I only say that because it's so much different than what we had been watching right before that, right? Texas Chainsaw, Evil Dead 2, Cyborg, where the hell did this come from? That's the beauty of Cannon Fodder, and that's the beauty of the way we make shit up, though, is that you do get this kind of thing stuck in the middle kind of out of nowhere. So I enjoy that mix of stuff. But Donnie, you gave Cyborg 3 cannonballs. Will still hasn't watched it yet, so nothing there. Smoak, you gave it 4 cannonballs. So did I. And Austin gave it 5 cannonballs. So that's
okay.
Total consensus of 4 cannonballs. So personally, I'm going to stay right there. I mean, because like it's wacky as fuck, but there's a lot of fun to be had. You're getting prime Van Damme, right? So I'm staying there. Anybody else?
Yeah, I actually want to. I'm going to bring mine up for much of the same reasons. But I'm going to bring mine up to 3 3/4 cannonballs. Want to give myself a little bit of wiggle room for, you know.
So sometimes you got to balance the scales.
Yeah.
For other movies sometimes.
Especially when you're doing a different scale like Cannon, where you got trying to slide it.
Yeah.
You know, to make. Sometimes I forget and I got to re-rate it myself in my head. I'm like, oh wait, I'm not grading this against Goodfellas.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Nor would we ask anyone to do that because that's torture. That's torture. Episode 153. Speaking of torture, we went back to the Hellraiser well, and matter of fact, this is the last time for a while. Like we haven't done any more since this one. Although that's going to be changing sooner rather than later, I'm sure. Hellraiser Hellseeker from 2002. Donnie, you and Will gave it 1.5 stars, and so did I. And Smoak, you gave it 1 1/4 star. So pretty much right there with the previous Hellraiser Inferno. And the consensus score was 1.4 out of 5 stars. So anybody got any word for that one?
I think it's well deserved.
The only thing I got is not to change my rating, but to say that this just speaks, I guess, volumes about this Hellraiser franchise. And once you get past part 3, I'd never seen any of the ones past, I think, part 3 until we did them for this podcast. And now, in my mind, I can't remember what happened to which one. I remember certain events, but I don't remember what movie they were in when it comes to part 4, 5, or 6 or whatever.
Yeah, that should tell you all you need to know.
Yeah. They're interchangeably shitty.
Yeah.
Once you get to those 4, 5, and 6,
pretty
much, whatever subtitle they go.
Once you get like 4 or 5, 6 months removed, like we are, you completely forget them until they're brought up. Oh yeah, we did watch those. That should tell you all you need to know. So we'll leave that alone. Episode 1
probably would have been worth we watched them all in a row. If we watched them all in a row, I definitely would have got everything all mixed up as far as who knows what was in what movie.
Yeah, and you wouldn't care enough to discuss it. You know, you'd just be like, "Fuck," you know, it was another one. Fuck it.
Yeah, if we had to watch them all in a row, I might have eaten them. No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say something that might actually
no.
community guidelines. Let's just say that I might not be sitting in this chair today if I had to watch.
You mean you might have wanted Pinhead to pay you a visit?
That's right.
Yeah. Our next cult corner was right after that, episode 154, another very high mark one, Fight Club from 1999. Donnie, you, Smoak, and Will gave it 5 stars, and I gave it 4.5. So that gives us a consensus rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars. So anybody got a word for Fight Club?
I do. I want to bump mine down a bit. To me, it's not Goodfellas. It's not even in that category on my scale. So I'm going to bump it down to 4.5.
Which is where I'm at on it, and I'm staying there. So Smoak?
I'll go down a little bit, but not quite as much. 4 3/4. I'll bump it down a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would argue it. Man, it really is a perfect movie for the time, too. You know, so well written, so well executed, so well done. One of the best of the 90s, and it barely slid in the 90s, right? I mean, it was 1999. But it really is one of the best flicks of the 90s, I feel. Great movie. Great movie. That gives it a 4.6 out of 5 stars. So we'll leave it there. We moved on to episode 155, Videodrome from 1983. Donnie, you and Smoak both gave it 3.5 stars, and I gave it 3. So I'm personally going to stay there. Either you guys want to change?
Yeah, I'm going to stay.
I'm not going to argue. I mean, it is a great flick. You know, for that early 80s horror that, you know,
body horror.
Yeah, body horror stuff. It really had, you know, I think there was a little bit of a message, something to say there. Really well done. Great special effects, all that stuff. So I encourage you to go check that one out. And I don't think any of us are going to move off of what we gave it there. Episode 156 was the next episode, and that was our Spook Show Spotlight on Sam Raimi. So if you want to hear us talk about the grand career in his life, you want to go check that one out. And we followed that up the next week with episode 157, the remake of Evil Dead from 2013. Donnie, you gave that one 3 3/4 stars. Will didn't watch that one. Smoak gave it 3 1/4 stars, and I gave it 4 stars for a current consensus of 3.6 out of 5 stars. So I'm staying there. I think this is one of the better horror remakes ever. You know, I'm not going to say it's the best ever, but this is top 5 for me.
No, I'm staying put.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with mine. I think like you said, even though my rating might look like it's lower than some of the others, or it is lower, I think it might be the lowest, right? Of them.
Of the 3, yes, yeah.
But it's still 3.5, right? Or 3 1/4.
3 1/4,
whichever it was.
Yeah. It's still really good.
So
to me, I in my mind, I'm always like anything above a 3 is still a pretty good damn rating. At that point, you're splitting hairs. Is like how awesome is it? You know, you're going back 1/4 stars and everything. So 3 1/4 is still a great.
Yeah, I think I definitely enjoyed it, and it's my rating reflects that. I don't put it in the same league as say remakes like John Carpenter's The Thing, or even The Blob from the 80s. And that's just a personal preference. My favorite remakes came more so from the 80s than they did from current 2000s and stuff, and that's just a personal preference of style, I guess, versus whatever. But yeah, my rating sticks. I'll go within that. I think it's a very good remake.
Episode 158 was our next cannon fodder selection. Oh, and this is a good one. Ninja 3, The Domination from 1984.
Hell yeah.
Donnie, you gave it 4 cannonballs. Smoak, you and I, and Austin Trunick gave it 5 cannonballs for a current consensus of 4.75 cannonballs. And that's without Will. He still hasn't watched that one yet. So I'm not moving. I'm pretty sure Smoak's not moving. So Donnie, where you at?
Yeah, I'm actually I still haven't drank a V8, but
and you never will again. And you never will again.
No, I'm
not
I'm
without
done.
thinking of it at least.
Just based on that alone. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, this movie's bonkers. But yeah,
way,
I'm actually going to go up a full cannonball up to 5.
Well, obviously I'm already there, so I'm not going to argue it. That movie is batshit crazy, but is in so many awesome ways.
Just how the ninjas drill themselves into the ground.
Yes.
Fun stuff.
And I mean, hell, you even got an exorcism in here. I mean, Cannon pulled out all
Sure,
the stuff.
yeah.
There's like exorcism, action, ninja stuff.
Porn.
Yeah.
Not really porn, but
it feels
you know.
like it feels like it's like 3 or 4 separate movies put into one. Just it's like, what the fuck is going on here? But it's hilarious. It's action packed. It's you run the gamut of emotions. It's everywhere, man. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
It's got the Body Shop song in it.
Oh God,
that
no,
pops up other
don't do it. Damn it. No, come on. It's our 5th anniversary, guys. I mean, like, have a heart, for God's sake.
Oh, come on. We're rehashing old stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, no arguments there. 5 cannonballs. And it won our the Spook Show Award for Best Cannon Fodder, right? Did it not?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It did.
Oh, God. Once again, highest of the highs, lowest of the lows. Episode 159, our Mother's Day episode, Mother's Boys. Now, Will and I were the only ones that made it to this fucking episode. We both gave it 1 1/4 stars. Did either of you guys actually ever go back and watch this movie?
No.
Not yet.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I got it. It's on the book. It's on the books. I'm scheduling it for sometime next to never.
Okay,
no.
yeah, okay. I'll mark it on the calendar.
It'll be a while before we get to Spook Show Rewind Mother's Boys. So.
Well, we're going to have a Spook Show rewind or something for the rewind. So you guys...
I guess if we're doing it on the rewind, maybe I guess I'll have to break down and give some consensus on it.
You know, I'm gonna slide this fucking thing in on Crapster Piece or something, so you guys have to watch it. I want to find a way. By God, yeah, it sucks. I'm not. It sucks hard. I'm not gonna relitigate it. It earns that 1 1/4. And I think the only reason we even gave it that extra quarter was just because Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. That's it. That movie is balls. I'll say that. Episode 160.
What year was that? I forget what the year was on that.
That was from 1993.
Okay.
You know, those prime years of great thrillers and horrors. 1993. Episode 160, our latest Cult Corner. Rad. We went ass sliding with Rad from 1986.
Can't go wrong with ass sliding, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to go wrong. Well, you could go wrong. If you do it that the wrong way, you can go.
Yeah, well, that could
But anyway.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit they like throw in on the side effects of some weird medicine commercial. That's one of the side effects. Ass sliding.
Ass sliding.
Donnie, you gave it 3 1/4 stars. Will gave it 3 3/4 stars. Smoak, you gave it 3.5 stars, and I gave it 2 3/4 stars for a consensus of 3.3 stars. Now that's Cult Corner, so you know you take that into account. It's a slightly different scale, but still, that's pretty high marks for a movie that's as goofy as that movie is.
I still get that fucking song "Send Me an Angel." Still got it in my head.
I love the soundtrack list. I got that on a playlist. I've got Thunder. What was the Thunder?
Was it Thunder in Paradise?
What kind of playlist you got going, Smoak? Is this like Punch Me in the Balls playlist or something? What do you got going on over there?
Oh no, I love some AOR like Eye of the Tiger and all that type of stuff. From what's the song from the Karate Kid soundtrack?
Oh Lord.
The one the last battle scene, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you work out to when you go to the gym? Is it like this shit, the Rad song and
No, not usually the metal, but I mean I will. I'm not going to say I could put this on a workout playlist and be fine with that too.
Yeah. That's what I envision you like. Flash dancing with with the leggings on. And just then dumping a bottle of or a bucket of water on your head at the end, Anyways, so yeah, I think we're all in agreement that we're gonna stay at 3.3 consensus stars for old Rad. Look, it's goofy as hell. It's very 1986, but I think if you like that time period type stuff, you'll enjoy it. So go check it out. One of the last ones that we watched right before the Spook Show Summer Disaster started was one of the better ones I think we've watched of the year, and that was Midsummer, episode 161 from 2019. Donnie, you gave it this was the lowest score out of the four of us, 3.5 stars. Will gave it 4.5 for the highest of the four of us, and then Smoak, you and I gave it 4 stars. So that's a dead consensus of 4 stars across the board. So anybody got anything for Midsummer?
I'm not going to be very popular here. I'm actually going to go. I'm going to drop a little bit. I'm going to go down to 3 and 3.25. I struggle with kind of period type horror. Even though it's not really determined what place and time, I guess it's mainly just I just kind of struggle with it. But 3.25 is where I'm at.
Smoak, I think we should paralyze them and stuff them in a bear suit. We gave it that lowers it down to a consensus of 3.9 out of 5 stars, which is still really, really good. But I could definitely see though, Donnie, in defense, of what you said, like if this isn't your kind of thing, and it is a slow burn, right? I mean, the one knock I had on it was the fact that it is so damn long. They could have got to the point a little quicker, but it's still very effective. It's still very well done. Mm. So, I could see that though. I could see it.
I forget what was my rating was what?
4 stars.
What was my rating on The Witch? If you remember it right offhand, I don't.
I can slide back up here just a second because we were just talking about that. You gave it 4.75. So you like The Witch way more.
That's good. Yeah, I do like The Witch better.
Yeah. Once again,
so I just wanted to make sure that was in line because that's kind of my ratings on these movies. I kind of rate A24 or elevated horror or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Along those lines, like The Witch is one of my favorite of that type of genre, subgenre, whatever.
No arguments here. Right after that, we kicked off the Spook Show Summer Disaster with episode 162, which is kind of a preview of coming events to the summer. We told you everything that was coming up, and so really not much of a reason, I guess, to go back and listen to that one. But if you just want to be a completionist on the Spook Show Summer Disaster, that's where it started, and that was on Memorial Day. But we started it in earnest with episode 163, not with an Ernest movie, but with Godzilla, King of the Monsters from 1956.
Imagine Ernest versus Godzilla.
Next up on Crapsterpiece Theater. Donnie, you gave Godzilla 3.25 stars. Will still hasn't weighed in. Smoak, you and I both gave it 4 stars for a consensus of 3.75 stars. So I'm not budging.
I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go up to
What?
I know. Well, I do like Godzilla King of the Monsters a lot better than Midsummer. I'm gonna go up to 3.5.
It's not often I think you would hear somebody say that sentence you just said. I really enjoyed Godzilla King of the Monsters more than I did Midsummer. And that's not saying like one's better than the other. It's just like that's a weird comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we just basically just right on that. I know we just covered Midsummer.
Yeah. Smoak, you
I'm not going to argue that. I mean, personally, me, I probably would. I would probably agree with that, even though I have Midsummer and Godzilla at the same rating. I think
I did too. I had it the same rating, but I like both of them for different reasons. So I can't even make my brain compare those two movies. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense.
I like this one better.
Yeah. So that gives it a consensus of 3.8 stars out of 5. So really, really good. Episode 1.
If you had to make that comparison, you got the guy in the bear suit that burns up, and in Godzilla, you have a guy in the Godzilla suit that's burning up from sweat, but not necessarily from fire. But I mean, there's a comparison.
Yeah, he's slightly uncomfortable, so I guess that's the comparison.
Well, there isn't a literal connection, dude.
To death, but
it's only here on the Spook Show, folks, could you get comparisons to Midsummer and Godzilla King of the Monsters from 1956. We're a unique place. Episode 164, Don't Look Up from 2021. This was now we're full on into the summer disaster now. Donnie, you gave it 3.25 stars. Will gave it 4 stars. He really loved that movie. Smoak, you gave it 2.25, and I gave it 3. So it sits at a consensus of 3.1 out of 5 stars. Anybody got any extra word for Don't Look Up?
I do. I feel like I was probably a little kind to it. It's a little long, but really, I don't want to see that movie again. typically it has to be, at least 3 stars for me to watch it again. I'm good without it. I'm going to go 2 3/4.
Hard to argue. I mean, it is definitely one of those movies that you wouldn't watch over and over. That being said, I appreciate the satire. I think there's some good comedy, going on there. And I love that the meteor disaster, at the end of the movie. I mean, that was an extra star for me because that was some good shit. So I'm going to stick with 3.
Yeah, I guess I'll stick with that. What did I give it? 2 1/4?
2 1/4, yeah.
I guess I'll stick with it.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to crowbar it out of you there, Smoak. I mean, you either like it or you don't, man.
No, I don't. It's just like I try to be fair though, so to some degree. I mean, if it's a movie I completely hate, I'm not going to be fair to it. I'll just give it what I think it deserves. But this one, I think I try and take it out of context or whatever. But I'll keep it at what it is, because for me, like Donny was saying, if it's below a 3, I'm not going to watch it again. That's for sure.
And it is a political satire, so I mean, it all depends on how well you can take that kind of shit too, because it's pretty heavy-handed in there, no doubt about that. But I think it was so well done and well acted that you kind of forgive some of that stuff, because it was well done. Episode 165, we moved on to The Book of Eli from 2010. Donnie, you gave it 3.5 stars. Will gave it 3. Smoak, you gave it 2 3/4, and then I gave it 3 stars for a consensus of just over 3 stars. So I'm going to stay put there. I mean, I think that's a fun little flick. Although certain aspects of it don't make any damn sense at all, and we talked about that during the episode. But I think it's a fun little popcorn flick.
That's a good one. I'm staying put.
Yeah, indeed.
Then we moved on during this the summer disaster to our next cult corner selection, and that was this long ass title, Dr. Strangelove. I'm not going to read the rest of it, or how I stopped. What was it? How I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb, or whatever the hell it was.
He said, "I'm not gonna say the rest of it."
I didn't
Proceeds to say that.
I didn't have it written down, so at that point, I was kind of challenging myself to see if I could remember the whole thing, and I think I did. From 1964, Donnie, you gave it 4 stars, and so did Smoak and I. So, anybody up or down on that one?
I'm staying put.
I think my only disappointment was the fact that Stanley Kubrick didn't make any more comedies after that. Like that's the only, I love that movie, and I wish he'd have made more, later on after that. But he, of course, Kubrick being what he didn't really like, I don't think he really liked revisiting too many different genres. He found his wheelhouse of doing different ones, and that's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to paint himself into a corner of any specific one. So I think that's kind of why it went the way it did for his career. But I wish he had made more comedies after that one, because that was great. Episode 167, we continued the Spook Show Summer Disaster with Smoak's choice, Independence Day from 1996. And that was literally like the day before Independence Day, so it was a perfect choice by the professor. Donnie gave it 3 3/4 stars. Smoak, you, I, and Will gave it 4 stars. So it got a consensus rating of 3.9 out of 5 stars. So anything to add or subtract there for you, Smoak?
I might go down to 3 1/4, just because it's not in some of the other movies where I've rated 4. I don't necessarily put. I mean, it's a great movie, and I think 3 3/4 is still a great score. It's just I don't put it necessarily in the same category as some of those other 4 stars I gave it. So I'm going to go to 3 3/4.
For some of the same reasons there, that you say that, I think I'm going to kind of go with you and go bump it down a little bit to 3.5. I'm going to 3.5 stars, because it really is a lot of fun. It's one of those. It's kind of the template for big summer blockbuster epic flicks, right? I mean, this is really kind of one of the ones that started that kind of stuff, or at least took it to the next level. The big event, epic popcorn type flick.
Yeah.
So there's no question about its significance there, and it's really well done. And I felt then now that it held up pretty well. It had been a while since I'd sit down and watched it. It's still a hell of a good time. So, but that being said, I'm gonna bump it down a little bit just so it balances my scale out a little bit at 3.5. So, Donnie, you gave
make mine 3.5. Make mine 3.5 as well.
3.5.
What did I give it? 4 originally?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Make it 3.5 for me too. Some of the other ones I got in there as well are probably up around 3 3/4. And again, that's not dissing the movie or anything. It's just not up there with some of the other ones in my mind.
Donnie, you gave Independence Day 3 3/4. Anything Anything for it now?
No, I'm gonna stay put. I'm gonna stay put at 3 3/4.
I think it's fair. I mean, like I said, you're splitting hairs with quarter stars
Yeah.
here on that, so we'll leave it there. Episode 168 was our latest Spook Show Spotlight, and that one we just talked about our favorite disaster movies. Just kind of some of the ones that I think we discussed some of the ones that we had done on the Spook Show Summer Disaster and that we were yet to do, but also some other movies that we kind of wanted to throw in there, like, hey, in addition to kind of things. So if you want to hear some of our other recommendations, go check that out. Episode 169 was 28 weeks later from 2007. All of us gave it 3 stars across the board. I'm staying put. Anybody else want to move from that?
No, I'm staying put.
I think it's a great follow up to 28 Days Later. I think it was. So I think we all kind of agreed on that one and just kind of moved on. And it was really the same thing with episode 170, Deepwater Horizon from 2016. Will wasn't there for that one, but all 3 of us gave it 3 stars. I kind of feel the same way there. It's like it's more of a not a documentary, but more of a correct portrayal of a true life event, right? So I don't want to say based on true story, but it is a true story. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, it really happened, and all those people, it was a horrible incident. But I think the movie did the story justice, and told it without getting too one-sided into the political aspects of stuff like that, where it's who's right, who's wrong. I think most people agree, like, yeah, this company fucked up and it happened, and people had to pay for that, and unfortunately, it was a big loss of life. But like, that's the kind of movie that we've never really done on the Spook Show, so I think it was a good touch to the Spook Show Summer Disaster to show like a real life disastrous thing, but in a movie way, right?
Mm.
And morbidly speaking, it didn't keep us from doing a kill count on it.
Yeah, unfortunately, for whatever reason, we thought it was a great idea to still do the gore score, the kill count on it.
I mean, laugh.
It's like,
yikes!
Can we just bad idea?
Yeah, it was. Well, look, 5 years, right? 5 years, you're gonna fuck up every now and then.
Yeah,
we've been pretty good about catching our mistakes, and I think we need to own that when we fucked up. But yeah, well, hey, it is what it is. We moved on though to bigger and better things after that. Episode 171, The Thing from 1982. All 3 of us gave it 5 stars. Will still hasn't weighed in, but I would seriously doubt he'd be any much lower than that, if at all. So I'm not touching it. Not with a 10-foot pole. It's 5 stars.
Oh yeah, no. Solid 5. Yep.
Yeah, go check that one out.
We mentioned all the time, which you can see going all the way back to that video thing we did way back when we named our favorite, whatever it was. Forget what it was. What was that? 13 favorite somethings.
Yeah, that and I think we talked about like horror remakes and stuff too with that one, right? Because it was yeah. Either way, one of the best horror movies of all time, no question about that. Go check it out. Go watch the movie 5 times. Go listen to our episode 5 times. You won't disagree with us there. Episode 172, our next Cult Corner selection, Snakes on a Plane from 2006. Donnie, you gave it 2 1/4 stars. Will and I gave it 2 stars, and Smoak, we never got your 2 cents on that one. You weren't there for that episode, so.
I mean, I didn't watch it. I didn't rewatch it, but I have seen it in the past, and I think I'll go with the 2 as well.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those movies that kind of just it is what it is. Like I don't think anyone would say it's one of their favorite movies, but I wouldn't hear too many people say they hate the movie either. It just kind of happened. It's kind of funny and cool for the fact that it's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. That's it. It just kind of is what it is. So that
without rewatching, which I haven't, which I don't know. Well, I don't know if we'll get back around to that again. Maybe if I rewatch it again at some point, I'll update that maybe, or maybe not. That's just the last time I saw it was back when it came out on video.
Yeah, I think that's fair within the rules for something like that. That gives us a consensus rating of just over 2 stars for that one. So there you have it. Episode 173, once again, Peaks and Valleys. Dawn of the Dead from 2004. Donnie, you gave it 3.5 stars. Will gave it 4.5 stars. He absolutely loved that movie. Smoak, you gave it 3 stars, and then I gave it 4 stars for a consensus of 3 3/4 stars. So anybody want to go up or down on that one? I have a feeling there might be a change here.
Yeah, I do. I actually want to drop it down to 3 3.25. Only because it's hard. It's hard to say Dawn Dawn of the Dead from 2004 feels a little bit more dated, and than the 78, and I rate 78 much higher. I mean, for obvious reasons, but it's just it doesn't quite hold the same weight. So yeah, I'm just gonna knock it down just a bit, to fit in on my scale at 3.25.
I gave it 4, and I could totally justify, even in my own mind, dropping it down a little bit, but I'm going to stay there. And I say that just because, like, on my scale, I try to look at time periods as well when I consider things. And 2004, man, tell me another great one from 2004. Find me another great horror movie from 2004. I don't think there's that many. Nothing's coming to mind right away without looking at a list. So something's got to take the crown, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, and of the time, man, that was just a dry fucking desert to me for good horror. And that one, I remember at the time, really nailed it for me. So when you're that thirsty, you'll take anything. Now, I could definitely see the dated part of it, and I think I said even in that episode, that is as much of its time in 2004 as the original was from 1978 when you look back at it now. It's a time capsule kind of thing in a way.
No.
It's very 2004, just like that one was very, very 1978. But yeah, I still think it's one of the better ones of that time period, so I'm gonna stay put.
And while we're at this movie right now too, I'll get y'all's consensus, and we probably may very well have discussed this on that episode. For y'all to running or slow zombies preference overall. I mean, I'm not saying versus, just your overall preference when it comes to what's your favorite type of zombie.
I think when we have discussed this before, I still kind of prefer the slow zombies a little bit, but I could see the fast zombies being way more scarier because
way more intense.
Yeah, like
so
I'd be dead. I think I said that then. Like I'd be fucking dead. My fat ass is dead. I got a horde of fast running zombies. I just fucking I'd probably die of a heart attack before they'd even get to me.
Yeah. My preference is slow ones too. But yeah, I mean, I could see. You got arguments for both. I guess the slow moving zombie thing is they're not gonna. One zombie's probably not gonna get you if you're aware of it coming after you. But it's you're getting away from this when you turn the corner there, and then there's another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 there. It's just so it could be the difference between the slow moving could be that kind of like slower scripts per se, pacing versus faster pacing. The fast zombies are going to overrun your ass really quick, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Then it comes down to how much of a tough guy do you think you are? Because either way, I'm probably fucking dead.
And also, people think that this is they might not think this is the first, but they'll probably think that this era ushered in the faster moving zombies because of this and 28 Days Later, even though 28 Days Later was technically not zombies. They were infected people, I guess, right? But still, people see that as a zombie movie. But really, I mean, you can go all the way back to Return of the Living Dead had running zombies in it.
Yeah.
Remember the scene of them being tackled outside and all that stuff? I mean, running zombies have been a thing for a little while. It's just that they became preferential, I guess, in the 2000s.
Send more cops.
Yeah.
Then they're running across.
Then you have the little the midget zombie too.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that movie's fucking batshit. Yeah, either way. Yeah, I think we're all going to stay there. So that gives it a consensus of 3.6 out of 5 stars. So really good stuff. Episode 174 was where we wrapped up the summer disaster. We brought it to a close and recapped everything that we did. So you want to go check that one out. Then episode 175 was the first time that we took one of our YouTube series and crossed it over with the main podcast. Donny brought over from Hammer Horror in Order, which you can go watch at our YouTube channel from aaspookshow.com today. The Curse of Frankenstein from 1957. So, Donny, you gave that one, we gave it its proper treatment, so you gave that one 4 stars, so did I, and Smoak, you gave it 4.25 stars. Will wasn't with us for that one, so it currently sits at just over 4 stars. Does anyone have anything to add or subtract from The Curse of Frankenstein?
No, certainly one of the best Hammer movies we've done. and I know we get into the, the Hammer horror on our YouTube series. But yeah, this is certainly one of the best.
I think it was the one that won the Spook Show award for best Hammer horror and order, right? I'm pretty sure it took the award just because it was the highest rated one that we had done. So we haven't found one yet that quite measures up to The Curse of Frankenstein. Hopefully one day we do over there, but we haven't found it yet, right?
Yep.
Not yet.
Episode 176 was our latest Cannon Fodder. We finally returned back to the Cannon Fodder series. After a little summer-long break. We took the summer break from Cannon Fodder. And this is where we introduced our new method. Our new method of selecting Cannon Fodders was putting every Cannon movie on a wheel and just spinning it, and then whatever it lands on, there we are. And this might be the one that shuts down Cannon Fodder forever. I don't know. We haven't done another one yet since. Emmanuel 4. 1984. Emmanuel.
I will say this. It's still one of our most popular YouTube videos.
Go fucking figure.
Right.
Because if you're out there listening to this and you've actually ever watched this fucking movie, which I doubt, I really fucking doubt, you would not want to sit there and subject yourself to anything to do with that damn movie. Not only is it the worst Cannon Fodder movie we've done, I think it might be the worst movie we've ever done on anything.
I don't know.
Other than maybe Cats, and we'll get into that here in a minute with Crapsterpiece. There are some caveats, right?
Yeah.
God damn that movie. That's what it should be called. God damn the movie. Emmanuel 4, 1984. Donnie, you gave it a half a cannonball. So did you, Smoak, and I gave it a quarter of a cannonball. Now, Will wasn't there, of course, but Austin couldn't even make it for that one. He's like, yeah, I got to fucking watch the paint dry today. I can't be there. So he didn't even give his 2 cents on that one. So that gives it a combined score right now of 0.4 cannonballs for old Emmanuel. I curse this movie.
I would like to, just say one thing. There is already there's a short movie, a short film called Goddamn, and there was a TV miniseries in 1990 also called Goddamn. So, hilarious.
What you don't see there is all they are is just re-edited version of Emmanuel 4 shortened. That's why they just call them Goddamn. Nobody wants to have anything to do with it. No, fuck that. I'm not changing. I mean, I'm not going to go full on like fucking zero. Like I don't know what a movie would have to do to me to make it zero. Have either of y'all ever thought about that? Like, how bad would it have to be?
I'll tell you what, Disaster movie was really fucking close. Ooh. Really close.
Oh yeah, Doc didn't have to watch that one.
Yeah. God damn.
Yeah, I didn't have to watch that one, so I can't say. But
yeah, you're lucky that you didn't have to. Next time on the Cult Corner, the professor picks the Disaster movie now.
Again. But this time you have to be forced to watch it with toothpicks holding your eyeballs open. Nah.
If you were, all I'm saying about that movie is if you were trying to make the unfunniest comedy in the history of comedy movies, you pretty much, I mean, it might be subjective, but as far as I can tell, you succeeded.
You know what? I'm not in the business of torturing myself, but I might have to go watch that movie because you guys just shit on it so much. I might have to go watch it just to see if it's as bad as you say it is.
You really are a masochist, then, aren't you?
Maybe I am secretly a masochist. I'm not sure. Well, anyways, yeah, we're not coming off of Emmanuel 4. That's enough of that shit. That is what it is. Episode 177, Mandy from 2018. This is the one where we were kind of like, Will just did not like this movie. Donnie, you gave it 3 1/4. Will gave it 1.5 stars. Smoak, you gave it 4, and then I gave it 3 1/4. So that brought.
I think I gave it a little bit more than 3 1/4.
I'm sorry, 3 3/4. My apologies. I misread that. 3 3/4, 3 1/4 for me, then 4 stars from Smoak, and then Will somewhere down here like Suspiria, fuck this movie level, 1.5 stars. So that brings the consensus to 3.1 stars. So anybody want to go up or down there?
I'll tell you, man, what a freaking ride this movie was. Just what a visual just head fuck.
And I think that's
my God.
That's why Will didn't like it, because it took so long for it to get to the killing, so to speak, that he was just like, once he got there, he didn't care, you know. So it was like they left him in the dust. I wish he was here. Here to give his 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a treat, man. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
I'm not, I mean, there's no secret. I'm not the biggest fan of modern cinema, horror movies, or anything really. So, and I'm stick with my 4.
I just like the way you just phrased that. Like, I'm not the fan of modern cinemas or anything. It really.
That's true, yeah. But so when I give something 4 stars, there's other people out there, I'm sure, that are kind of traditional minded that way when it comes to movies and things of that nature. So if you are that person, and if you see me rate a modern movie with a higher rating, like 4 stars, then take that for what it is, I guess. Take that for the thing that if you're a person who doesn't really get behind modern cinema too much, maybe you'll like some of these, like The Witch, Midsummer.
You should pay attention. Smoak is speaking. You should pay attention. No doubt.
Now, for people that love modern horror movies, then okay, but
it is a great flick though, and like I feel that the slow burn makes the payoff even better. You know, I looked at it the opposite of what Will did. You know, like he looked at it like the slow burn was like, fuck this. You know, I don't care anymore. But no, I felt that like, man, it made that impact even bigger once you finally get there, and then that movie goes off the rails. That last 45 minutes, it's some craziness. So.
Also, one of the best kills on the kill reel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That final kill. Oof.
That director might have to pull out his other. I don't know if y'all ever seen Beyond the Black Rainbow, but I might have to pull that out for Cult Corner at some point in the near future. Too much to Will's chagrin, I think.
Yeah. Well, maybe not. You never know with him.
Yeah.
And the last.
No, that one was even crazier. Well, I won't say it's crazier. It's more of a slow burn and less of a horror. More of a mind fuck, even maybe than Mandy, without the payoff of crazy action scenes and Nicolas Cage.
Well, the last one that we're going to be talking about as far as the podcast proper here is our latest Cult Corner selection. This is Spinal Tap from 1984. Donnie, you gave it 3 stars. Will gave it 4 stars, and Smoak, so did you and I, 4 stars. So that's a consensus of 3 3/4 stars. For this is Spinal Tap. So anybody got any? I'm going to stay put at 4. I think it's well deserved in my opinion. So anybody else got a?
I'm gonna stay.
Yeah, I'm staying.
If you're a fan of that, it's weird because it's almost like the Monty Python-esque dry British humor, but done by Americans. Yeah. So it's like they did their best there, you know, to kind of nail that aesthetic. So that we're
top-notch comedy, you know, it always will remain that.
Yeah, no doubt. From and one of the better ones of the early '80s for sure, comedy-wise. So that wraps up like what we're going to be talking about as far as the podcast proper, because everything after that, like we just did it within the last month or so, and probably none of us are going to feel any different about it right now than we did it being so recent. So we'll leave those alone, and we'll come back to those next year from episode 179, A Nightmare on Elm Street, down to current. But before we check out, we wanted to talk about Crapsterpiece Theater, just the ones that we've done over the last calendar year. So I'm just going to run off a list of starting with Crapsterpiece 8 up until Crapsterpiece 18. That's the one that we did. When did that come out? I'm sorry. That came out in August, I believe. Yeah. Crapsterpiece 18 was the one that came back in August. So we're going to stop with those. So I'm going to run down the list, and you tell me if there's any of these that really need to be debated. House of the Dead, 2003. We gave it diarrhea. Thanksgiving.
No, it gave us diarrhea.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think it's very obvious that all of these gave us massive, fucking explosive diarrhea. If we said it's diarrhea, it sucked.
Is there anything worse than explosive diarrhea? Because I'll re-rate it to that, but otherwise I'll keep it the same.
Yeah, it's called death.
Oh, okay.
House of the Dead, 2003, diarrhea. Thanksgiving 3, god damn, 2012, diarrhea.
So, I would like to kind of say a little something about Thanksgiving 3 compared to some of these other movies that are well deserved diarrhea ratings. I don't think. Man, God, it sucks. But yeah, I would say it's compared to the others on the list, oh man.
Thanksgiving 3?
Damn. Yes,
No.
we watched the same fucking movie.
No, we didn't. We did not, apparently. That movie sucks.
Except me. I didn't have to watch it.
That's right.
Old laughing boy over there. He didn't have to watch it. But we did. And that movie sucked.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
It was
but
just a hard watch, man. It was just like, God damn, this corny ass comedy.
That is true. Yeah.
It was just, Now, I will say what you were trying to say just now about the next one, Elves. We said diarrhea. Now, that one, yeah, it sucks, but like that has more watchability.
It's not.
That has more watchability to me than Thanksgiving 3. Like,
yes.
I would watch Elves again.
I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
So if I was going to rethink anything, it would be Elves.
Elves would be a sinker.
Yeah.
I don't think, because
I could agree with that.
And me personally, I might have even, for mine, because I'm a little bit skewed that way for those, I might even give it a floater. If we were doing personal singles ratings, but I'll agree with at least with the single.
Now, see, here's my line of embarkation there. The only floater we've ever given out is No Holds Barred.
I don't think Elves even
is not,
approaches.
It might smell like dookie, but it ain't no holds barred. So I'm gonna have to stay put on that one. But yeah,
if I was personally in my head, if I was rating it that way, I would say that too. But see, for me, I think that No Holds Barred maybe doesn't even belong in the masterpiece. But that's me.
Well, yeah. Now that's a discussion to be had. But the people speak. We put it on the polls, they speak, and we have to listen. So that's kind of where that's how that happened. But so that we'll have our first change then with Elves. We'll call it a sinker.
Yeah,
all right.
Sinker.
We'll go with that. Freddie Got Fingered. No, I don't think there's any discussion. 2001 diarrhea.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I can't remember why.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You really have to be a huge fan of Tom Green to give that more.
Here's my thing: is there really a such thing? Are people really that into that guy, or are they just?
I don't think Tom Green is that much of a fan of Tom Green.
Yeah, I think he hates himself for the shit that he's done on some level. Anyways, I'm not going to spend much breath on that. Cats. Speaking of which, fuck that movie and the cat paws that it rode in on. Stupid shit. Diarrhea. It will forever be like Smoak just said. If there's a level below diarrhea, dehydration, death from shitting too much, then that's Cats. Whatever's below it, bury it under there in the cat litter. That's where it belongs. Troll 2. Now, see, this is like that Elves line of we called it a sinker, and that's just because it's entertaining. But it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie, but it's entertaining. I'll give it that. So I don't think it warrants changing it to floater or anything like that. But
no, I don't think it approaches.
It really is a good time. Caddyshack 2. We gave that one a sinker from 1988.
That's rightful.
Yeah, because there's some jokes that are funny there, but overall it's just like it's such a blatant rip of the first one that it really is a small miracle that they were even able to get Chevy Chase to be in that movie.
You didn't get him. It definitely would have been diarrhea.
Oh, he is the reason that it is even as tolerable as it is. You take him out, you're like, Jesus. It's just what was his name? Jackie.
Jackie I almost said Jackie Moon.
Yeah.
It's Jackie Moon.
It's Jackie Mason doing his best Rodney Dangerfield. That's it,
Yeah.
Another sinker, The Wicker Man from 2006.
That's rightful.
Yeah.
I think that's rightful.
It's not full on diarrhea, although I could see somebody saying that, but it's not the worst. It's not Cats. It's not it's none of that stuff. Disaster movie.
This one, and I never watched it all the way through back when I rented it. But for me, it's because of my love for the original one. I don't know if I could give it, if I were rating it personally, I don't know. Might be diarrhea for me based on how much I love the original.
I can understand that mindset, man, but I'm telling you, like, it's not good, but it's not as bad as those. It's just not.
Based on some of the other movies, like Cats, I'd much rather watch The Wicker Man, and I haven't even watched it all the way through, but I'd much rather watch it multiple times than watch Cats again.
That's kind of the way you have to look at some things sometimes. Though, it's like, God damn, that sucked, but is it as bad as that? Nah, I can't say that. one I don't have an opinion on. Disaster movie from 2008. You guys gave it diarrhea. I'll just take your word for it.
I'll tell you this, man. The thing about disaster movie, like it's one of those hard watches to where it's like it's so campy and it's such bad humor. But if you relate it to one of the worst movies we've ever seen, Crapster or not, Cats. Now, granted, I didn't watch that, but Cats was trying to be, I guess, kind of be serious.
I think that's what makes Cats even worse is that they were serious about that shit. You know what I mean? Like, they thought that was like a fucking Oscar. They thought they had something there, and you can tell it. You're like, nah, no, you didn't.
Now, I'm of the unique position that I had to watch both of those movies where one of y'all had to watch one and the other one had to watch. So I had to watch both of those pieces. So I can give a little bit of context on both. Yeah. And it's clear is if I had to watch one versus the other again, I think I would go with watching Disaster Movie again.
Yeah. See, that speaks volumes. Rough. That speaks volumes right there.
That is rough. There's still one that I want to get to, and I hope that we do. And I probably shouldn't say it because it may skew the polls, later on. So I'll hold.
Don't say it. Don't say it. You never know who might be listening. A couple more here. We've got Barbed Wire from 1996. Once again, we gave it sinker. That's just because it's not good, but it's not the worst. So, it happened. And then, we'll wrap it up here. We'll stop here, put a pin in it with Crapster 18, Spice World from 1997. Smoak, you were the one that didn't have to watch that, right?
So, never seen it. Not so far. Hopefully never will have to.
We'll find a way, by God. We'll find a
way. Be careful what you do, because I might have to stick whatever the fuck it was we were talking about before on this.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was now we were discussing. I need to choose it for...
That's part of the fun for us is that we get to inflict this shit on each other. So, at least there is that part of it. So... Yeah. So really, in the end, the only one that we changed was we went from diarrhea to sinker on elves. So I think that's about right. All the rest kind of they earn their turd designation. So we'll leave it there, and we'll pick that up next year with Crapster piece number 19, Mommy Dearest. That will be the one that we start with next year. So really, I guess that's pretty much it. We encourage you to go to aaspookshow.com. That's the center of the Spook Show universe. From there, you can reach our podcast archives, of course, but also our YouTube channel and our Patreon, patreon.com/AASpookShow. We encourage you to become a patron there. Help grease the wheels of commerce, so to speak. Help the Spook Show keep going for 5 more years at least. That's it. That's how we decided to celebrate 5 years on this planet for the All-American Spook Show. So it's been a good wild ride. I'll say that. And I wish Will was here, to say his piece about everything that we got to do. But obviously, we hope that he gets to feeling better. And here's to 5 more years, guys. And we start our new calendar year, so to speak. We always started after Halloween. By the way, we've went this whole time and failed to mention to everyone Happy Halloween. That's tomorrow, or depending on when you listen to it, right? But this comes out on Monday, October 30th at 6 p.m. East Coast time. So. Maybe it's already Halloween for you. Regardless, happy Halloween. But we start off our next Spook Show calendar year next month on November 6th. And it's the day before Election Day, and it's Will's choice. So he decided to go with the Purge election year. So that ought to be an interesting little flick to check out right before Election Day, right? We'll leave that there. So come back next week for that. So for Will, couldn't be with us, Donny, Professor Smoak, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show podcast. Here's to 5 years, and here's to at least 5 more years.